Hi, everybody. This is CricketSong with Lunar Wisdom, and you're watching The Sacred Circle. We broadcast live every Thursday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And unfortunately, Lippy will not be joining me this evening. She is under the weather. She hurt her neck, I believe, is what's going on. And she is laying in bed with an ice pack. I am waiting for DragonFeather to join me because she's supposed to be my guest tonight, but we seem to be having some technical difficulties and she is unable to join the Hangout. I've sent her numerous invitations. I've sent her the link. At this point, we're both very frustrated and we don't know what to do. So maybe if you have some suggestions, I can shoot her an email and maybe we can get her on the show tonight. We're supposed to be talking about Crystal Magick. When she looks me up, it says I don't exist on the chat. Maybe try using this email. Okay, so I'm going to send her an invite at a different email address. Hopefully this works because this is just super frustrating. Sometimes Google Hangouts is just not a wonderful way to do Hangouts or to do a show. Sometimes when it works, it's great, and when it doesn't work, it's very frustrating. So let's see if this works. So Crystal Magick is supposed to be our topic tonight. Hi, everybody. Hi. Yeah, I'm glad you caught this live too, as long as DragonFeather gets on here. Otherwise, you might be greatly disappointed. Oh, there she is in the chat. Yeah, I sent it to that other email that you sent me, DragonFeather, so maybe it shows up for you. I don't know what else to do. So I guess at this point I could tell you that next week on the show, we are going to have Dirty Dean on May 25th. He and I are going to be discussing what witches are and what they are not. And then on June 1st, I have an episode with Martha Dunlap, and her and I will be talking about the Ascension. On June 1st, that episode is a pre-recorded episode because my family and I will be traveling from Massachusetts over to Washington State on the West Coast to visit some of his family because he is from Washington State. We're going to be staying in Seattle for about 10 days. So while I'm there, you will still have 2 episodes of The Sacred Circle. They're just pre-recorded episodes. So you won't be able to chat with us, but they will be available to you at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Just like as if you were able to watch the live show, it's just going to be pre-recorded. So on June 1st and June 8th, I believe, those 2 are pre-recorded shows that I have recorded and they're ready for you. Hey, Michelle, how are you doing? I want to say hi to everybody. We have a nice full house tonight. Hey, Dirty Dean, I can't wait to speak with you next week. Hopefully, would it work if I sent you a video chat request? Yeah, I know. I sent her the link and, oh, I'm sorry. Yes. I sent her the link numerous times, and she, DragonFeather, is saying that she can't, it's not working for her. And I know that when that didn't work for, I can't remember who I had. When I had them on chat, if I didn't send them the link and I sent them the invitation, they were able to connect that way. So I've sent DragonFeather multiple invitations and I've sent her the link multiple times. So I don't know what's going on. Yeah, I sent her the link and it's just not working. She can't, I'm not exactly sure what message she's getting. Yes, maybe Michael can help you. Michael is trying to help her in the chat. And that's the strange thing is I've had Dragon Feather on the show before and we've never really had a problem connecting. So this is really strange. Although I must say, Google Hangout has given me some issues in the past where I was totally unable to even pull up or host a Google Hangout. So who the heck knows what's going on. I love you all too. Thank you, Willow Phoenix. I really enjoy doing this show. Michelle, really? You live in Seattle? We're going to Seattle. We're staying with some friends. We have some plans to check out Bremerton, where my husband grew up. I know Lippy also lives out near that area, so we want to stop in and say hello to her. I'm trying to make plans to meet Nico from Scarlet Moon Magic as well in person. He is out in the Seattle area too. Michelle, if you want to send me, I don't know how my husband is in charge of our plans and our itinerary since he is familiar with the area. I know that we are taking a flight in. We rented a car. We're staying with his friend. And like I said, there is my son is interested in going to DigiPen. So we're going to bring him to an open house, I believe, on one of the Saturdays he has his transcripts from the college he's attending now, and he's going to go to the open house to see if that's a school he wants to attend. So that's on our agenda. Honestly, if the visit goes well and my son is really interested in going to that college that we're considering possibly relocating to the area. So this is pretty exciting for us. Changes are in the air. So we'll see how that all works. But Michelle, if you want to either send me your cell phone number in an email, maybe we can possibly meet. That would be wonderful, I think, don't you? Let's see. Everybody is trying to help Dragon Feather get into this hangout. I know, Barley Moon. It's just like that, isn't it? Nico is great. I know. I've chatted with him numerous times. I've done, the video chats with him. So I would love to meet him in person. Yeah, so that's the plan. I know, this is so frustrating. I'm excited too. That would be so great to meet you in person. Michelle, did you get the email that you sent me I believe, wasn't it you? I did log out and log back in, and I sent her the link after I did that too. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on with it because it's on her end. So I don't know what's going on. I logged out, I logged in, I did all that from my end. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Like I said, I logged out and I logged back in. So I don't know why you're unable to. It says error. Did you copy, instead of clicking the link, did you copy and paste it into your browser like Michael suggested? What's going on? Well, what's going on is that Dragon Feather is having an issue trying to get into the Google Hangout. Oh, yeah, I'll send it to you, Michael. I'm going to send it to you through Facebook and see if you're able to sign in. Let's see. What a pain in the ass. Michael. All right. Let me get this link. Hold on. This is the kind of day it's been for me. Can I tell you? It's been this kind of day. It has been this kind of day. Try that, Michael. See if it works for you. It was 91 degrees here today. It was 88 yesterday. It was 91 here today. My hair's blowing because I have a fan blowing on me. And the strange thing is, you know, it was just spring and we were freezing in our house just like at the beginning of the week. We had space heaters on because we had turned off our oil burner. You're getting the same error too. All right. So, am I not supposed to have a guest today? What the fuck is going on? All right. So, what should I do? Yeah, of course it got corrupted because, see, I'm not supposed to have a freaking host, not supposed to have a guest tonight, apparently. All right, let me take a look. Michael's asking me a question. Let me look. No, that's not the link that I get from clicking invite. It's the link that I got from my actual, the address bar. Let me see if it's any different from clicking the invite. I will try that. Invite. Here's the link. Copy that. Let's see if this works. Close. I did hit copy. Okay. Close that. Open Facebook. Try this, Michael. Does that work? Because the other link was the one I just copied from the address bar. Try that. And there we go. So let me try to sit. Oh, you popped up and then you disappeared. So DragonFeather, let me try. All right, let me send that to DragonFeather. We'll figure this out. So here, try this, DragonFeather. Try this. Try this. Michael, you didn't want to stay? Try this. I just sent it to you in an email. We'll get this. We'll get this. We'll get this. It did work. Thank you. If I had time while I'm on my, if I had time while we were on vacation out to the West Coast, there was talk about going to California, but we're just not going to be out there long enough because there was a list of people I wanted to visit if we went out there. But my content is amazing. Thank you. I'm glad you think so. I try. It's hot. No kidding. How hot was it out there in New York, Dirty Dean? Was it in the 90s for you too? Because it was just totally insane. Maybe next time. I know. Well, see, the thing is, if we do relocate out to Washington State, then obviously trips to California are going to be mandatory for me. 95 in California. I mean, in New York. Thank you.
It was that link. For whatever
that link. Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah.
Hello.
I don't know, but you're here. Thank you. Yes. Yes. Because I didn't know what else I was going to talk about, just sitting here talking about the weather. How ridiculous is that? Oh my goodness. And I know you were you did a video and you were telling everybody you were going to be on the show tonight. And then I'm like, it's got to work because she saying, I'm going to be on the show. So, okay.
Tag for a second, but we're all good.
We're good. Yeah, we still can do about 45 minutes before I have to sign off because my family will be coming home and making lots of noise. But okay, so Crystal Magick. So I have some questions we can start with. The thing I wanted to start with is what are we talking about when we're talking about Crystal Magick?
I would say incorporating crystals into your craft to raise magical energy.
Okay, very simple, very to the point. Yeah. So how would that be different from incorporating, or is it different from incorporating any other sort of, symbols or correspondences? Is there a difference or not?
I would say yes, because quite actually, there's nothing else quite like structurally similar to crystals on the planet. Like they have their own organized structure, and nothing that naturally grows works that way. And so it's completely unique in that sense. And so I think it's very much its own thing.
So then why would anybody want to incorporate, I guess, what are the benefits or what are the, why Crystal Magick?
Why? I would say people would maybe want to incorporate Crystal Magick into their craft because vibrationally, like crystals emit energy, and especially clear quartz, it's a good transmitter of energy, and because of that reason, it's actually in all of our smartphones and technology to help with stuff like that. So if you wanted to amplify your energy, I feel like crystals are the way to go. Like if you want to bring certain properties vibrationally, I would say crystals would be the way to go.
Okay. So are there, I guess, I get, all right. So if someone wanted to start working with crystals because of these things that you mentioned, what would you suggest, or how would you suggest they would start? What's the first thing they should do? What's the first thing they should know, kind of thing?
Well, the first thing I think you should do is research, pretty much with anything. Research maybe how people use crystals in their craft, how, the scientific part of crystals, how that works. Learn about them. How are they made? How do they form? How are they different from each other? Stuff like that. And then I would say from there, pick a crystal to go get for your first one if you don't have one already, or if you do have one, pick it up and sit with it, I would recommend clear quartz, rose quartz, or amethyst, maybe even citrine to start out with, just because I feel like those are some really good staple crystals to always have and tend to work the best for beginners.
Okay, so what do you believe that a crystal could do? I guess you kind of answered it, but if there's more of a more in-depth answer to what you originally said. So what do you feel that crystals can do that the witch can't do on their own? If crystals can do things that the witch can't do on their own?
That is a good question. I would say that in my experience, crystals are like the ultimate connection to earth magic. Just because I feel like they are the most refined, perfected pieces of earth. That's totally my personal opinion though. But because of this, like, if you have a crystal just in your room, like vibrationally, it's going to raise the energy. If you look at it, it's going to look pretty. It's very aesthetically pleasing in my opinion. And sometimes that really helps certain practitioners get into the zone and help like separate the mundane from the magical realm, or from their craft and stuff like that. But I would say that what can a crystal do that witches can't? That's a really good question. I'm not sure if I have an answer for you on that one. Okay. I've never been asked that before.
Yay! I asked a question that you've never been asked before. And I guess the reason that I actually asked that is because I don't generally use a lot of crystals in my own practice. I have, and I guess maybe this is where, because for me, it's almost like there are different things that I incorporate into my own witchcraft. So I have a part of who I am is very new agey. but then there is definitely a part of who I am who is very witchcraft. And I do intertwine them, but it's almost like there's this very thin border for myself where I'll do crystal grids, but when I do spellcraft, when I'm casting spells, when I'm working my magic, I don't tend to use crystals in that. When I'm doing readings, I have a Lemurian seed crystal that I always use. I mean, ever since it was gifted to me, that is sort of my key to go into the other world. But when it comes to potion making or actual spell crafting, I don't tend to use crystals, which is why I was asking for, at least from your opinion, what is it that they might help me with that I can't do on my own? That's kind of where that question came from.
No, that's a good question. For me in my craft, like more times than not, when I work with a crystal very much regularly, they will teach me things. And I know that might sound weird, but like if I meditate with a crystal for a certain amount of time, maybe I'll get certain visions of how to do something. For example, like I was meditating with my piece of azurite, like on my third eye right here, and I got this, I got the idea to put these on my forehead from that. And like ever since then, I was just like, okay, like meditating with crystals really helps me discover where to go next with my craft. And that has been something personal for me. So they are pretty much guides in a sense for me. And they really help me connect with Earth, because I've kind of struggled with connecting with Earth. But as soon as I like acknowledged the fact that crystals are like literally from the ground, I was like, yeah, they are Earth elementals, aren't they? So ever since then, I've just kind of like wanted to work with them to get more in touch with my earth-based practice.
Yeah. So do you do, like, when you casting spells, do you use crystals within your spell work?
Always. Like, okay, I don't think I could tell you a spell that I have casted that has not included a crystal. Like, it's honestly like crystals were like the first little peek into the magical world. I've been collecting them since I was so young. Like, I couldn't even tell you how young I was. But I still have like crystals from when I was a child, and I've always collected them, always wanted them. I'm like, me and my rocks. But I have to have them with my practice. Like, it's just a part of my craft.
And it's interesting that you said you and your rocks, because for me, I've been actually picking up stones, like literal stones, since I was a child. Seashells, stones, things like that. And I have a collection of stones, not crystals, and not, you know, not fancy stones, you know, that you go and buy in a crystal shop, but I'm talking about stones, you know, the kind you find when
genuine rocks.
Exactly. So that's sort of, I guess those are like my crystals. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Not saying that I don't. And again, I have, well, I don't have any now, but I recently had, until I took it down, I did have a couple of crystal grids going for specific intentions. But like I said, it's almost like that is part of my spiritual practice. It's part of my life practice. But when I think of my witchcraft, it doesn't really include the crystals, at least for me. And I'm not saying that, you know, obviously for you, it works, and that's what you've been doing for a long time. It's just for me, it doesn't. And I don't know why. I mean, I'm not upset about it, but I'm just curious, and I'm trying to find out for me why not, you know, which is why that I asked that question of you.
Well, I know that some practitioners like resonate better with herbs, like, and they just rather work with herbs and are all about that. And I struggle with that. My first real connection with an herb was cannabis, and ever since then I've been trying to like work more with it, but I've always had that connection with crystals ever since I could remember. And so having that really powerful connection for me has proved very beneficial in my craft.
Yeah. And like I had said, I have that Lemurian seed crystal that as soon as it was gifted to me, it's a key. I know it acts as a key for me. Very similar, like you were talking about when you meditate. When you're meditating with your crystals, when I'm doing divination, and I have a crystal ball, that I do divination with. So, I mean, I feel like that's sort of the aspect that I work with them, and quartz, clear quartz, Lemurian seeds. I have a rose quartz tower. I have this huge hunk of quartz in its natural form with its little
Okay.
spines sticking out. So, I mean, they're in my presence. It's just, I guess, spell crafting just doesn't seem to work for me with it, or I just haven't been drawn to do that. Someone in the chat room wanted to know, what crystals would you recommend for a general sachet? I have malachite, 2 clear quartz, a garnet, and 1 moonstone in my current one, but they're looking to add more to it. So what would you suggest?
I would say like some general all-purpose stones would be clear quartz, amethyst, rose quartz, maybe even selenite. Just trying to think. Because like the ones that you listed, I think are really good crystals to like work with already. I think are perfect for like a beginner. But like, yeah, I can't really think of anything else. I think you got a pretty good list there. But I just would recommend, if you're a beginner, to be careful on working with toxic crystals, because I think you said malachite?
Yeah, malachite.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, malachite's actually a toxic crystal. So just be careful when working with crystals that have those properties.
Okay. Crystals, and how do you charge your stones, your crystals?
I prefer to charge them in moonlight. I feel like that's pretty standard. But I also like to charge them in smoke. I do a lot of smoke cleansing. And depending if the crystal can be in water, I like to cleanse them in moon water as well.
Okay. Someone asked if you, or do you use crystals to contact your guardians?
Absolutely. I actually find that that works a lot better, because if you say, I actually have a crystal that I use just to work with fairies. It's my angel aura quartz. And whenever I'm ready to work with the fae, I meditate with this prior to whatever I'm doing. And like just that instant connection with this crystal, like just helps me go into the zone easier. Like for me in my practice, I need a physical item that helps me connect, and crystals are that for me most of the time.
Okay. And I guess, like I was saying, and I'm going to say it again because I just am, my Lemurian seed crystal, when I do my divination, in whatever form I do, when I use that crystal, it acts like a key to the other realms, and it really aids me in connecting with whatever spiritual entities I'm working with. So like I said, it works like a key. So that's how I would use it to contact my guardians or
Absolutely.
whoever I'm working with.
That makes sense.
How do selenite wands affect spell work and such? Do you use a selenite wand?
I do. Actually, I have a selenite massage wand that I use to help relieve like stress and anxiety, not only on myself but on others. But I find that selenite is a really good crystal to work with, especially if you want to work with the moon. If you're doing any sort of lunar crafting on your full moon, have selenite everywhere. It just has really good vibes, for me anyway. But yeah, I would say it's a really good stone for casting crystals, casting circles. There we go.
Okay. Hold on, I just lost my place. Everybody's asking all kinds of questions. All right, so I lost questions. Oh, here we go. Do you believe it's better to use jewelry that the surface does? Oh, wait a minute. Do you believe it's better to use jewelry that the surface does make contact with skin? Or even if it doesn't, is it still going to have the same effect? I guess they're asking, if you have crystal jewelry, is it better to have it touch your skin? Or if you don't and you have it like over clothing, will it still have the same effect?
I would say
that's
yes.
What they're asking.
I would say yes. In my personal practice and in my personal experience, if you have a crystal that you want to gain benefits from, like you want to work with it or something like that, as long as you keep it on person or like on your person, you will be a-okay. It doesn't matter if it's like through clothing or whatever. If it's on you, you're good.
Yeah, I think I would agree. I mean, not that, I mean, just because I don't work with them doesn't mean I don't know anything about the crystals. Just want everybody to know. I worked in a metaphysical shop doing readings, and the majority of what people came in for was crystals and stones, tumbled stones, crystals, raw stones, all that stuff. And I would agree with you that, I mean, whether you are actually touching your skin or whether you have it around you, because the energetic frequency of that crystal isn't just this tiny space, it's a whole area. I mean, you can have a few crystals in a room and it's going to affect the vibration of that room, of the environment. So whether it's touching your skin or on top of your clothing, it's going to affect your aura. So I would agree with you.
I would just watch out for what glues they use in jewelry, because some glues or adhesives aren't the best. So just be wary of that.
I agree. You could get an irritant and you could get an irritant, think it's from the crystal, and in fact, it's not from the crystal, it's from the glue. What age did you begin to work with crystals? Someone's asking in the chat room.
I would say between 3 and 4 years old. I'm not even joking. I used to sit in circles of my crystals. My crystal friends is what I would call them when I was a little girl. And I would just sit in my living room and put them on, talk to them, and just be a child.
Yeah, I didn't become familiar. I mean, I knew what they were, but mine was a lot older when I started, sort of delving into this sort of pagan-y magical practice. So it was well into my adulthood.
For sure.
What unstable crystals are most risky to work with, do you think?
Azurite is a tricky one to work with. Azurite's actually my favorite crystal, but if you breathe in any powder from it, it's very toxic and is pretty lethal, so be careful. That's the one that comes to mind. When you're working with any crystal that has, I want to say, copper in it, it's going to be toxic. I could be wrong. Don't count me. No, because amethyst has copper, so what am I talking about? Any of the stones that in an ITE, I want to say, have toxic properties. Heard that from a viewer. I've Googled it a little bit. Seems pretty reliable. I am not an expert, though. But just don't use them in elixirs, and just be really consciously aware of what you're doing when you're handling toxic crystals.
Someone asked about toxic crystals. Lilokin said, what is a toxic crystal and what are the negative effects of them?
Well, each crystal that has toxic properties is probably going to be a little bit different depending on how it can be toxic. I know certain crystals, if you touch them, it's kind of a no-no, but you probably won't find those anywhere in any store. No thanks. But with crystals like Azurite, I know that if you were, I don't know how many people would actually want to do this, but if you wanted to make ink out of Azurite, you can do that. Be careful, because if you grind it up, the powder, if it gets in your nose, like I said, you can die from that. But it really just depends on the crystal that you're working with or you're curious about. And before you buy the crystal, if you don't have it already, just do your research and make sure that you know how to handle it in an adult way, in a safe way, and you know how to work with it in a safe way. What are you doing with the crystal? What are you wanting to use it for? And will you be able to use this toxic crystal for what you want to use it for?
Okay. Someone in the chat room was suggesting that obsidian is the most unstable because it has no limitations, positive or negative. Dirty Dean mentioned that. I hadn't heard that, but again, I'm no expert and I don't use a lot of them. So I know some about some, but not everything about all of them.
I have never had a problem with obsidian before, and I didn't know that, actually. I'll have to do more research for that one.
Yeah, me neither. Rita was talking about her mom and dad cut gems and minerals and said never to inhale loose dust from hematite or malachite. So it's that ITE you were talking about, that whole idea, them being toxic or, having negative effects on your overall health and well-being. What crystals would you not use together at the same time? like crystals that like cancel each other out or conflict with each other? Do you know of any?
Oh my goodness, I don't even know.
Have you had any experiences using two crystals that maybe didn't work well together?
No, actually. I find that it's kind of like, what's a good analogy for this? I kind of feel like it's when you're eating food, like certain flavors taste good together, certain things don't work together, but the only way you're going to find out is if you try it. So you're really not going to know which crystals work bad and work well with you until you try to work with the crystals in combination with each other. Because let's say a crystal pairing didn't work for me, but maybe it was your favorite crystal pairing. So like it really just depends on the practitioner, I feel.
Yeah. I think I agree with you. But again, like I said, when I'm doing my crystal grids, when I'm setting up my crystal grids, it's all intuitive. I generally have a clear quartz in it, usually a center stone, sometimes also outside stones, but it's all intuitive for me when I'm setting up my grids. So yeah, I mean, yeah. I know you can get books and I know you can find other people's opinions about what crystals might not work well together, but my experiences have always been intuitive.
I would have to
Go ahead.
I'd have to agree with you. Whenever I make grids, it's always from intuition.
How can you tell the difference between a fake or manufactured stone or a real naturally formed stone? I don't know.
Actually, if you, for example, the most common crystal that's sold as a ripoff is clear quartz. They'll usually send you glass. And a great way to tell the difference is the clarity of it. Granted, some clear quartz is very clear and like looks like glass, but for the most part, it's really not. So if it's like perfectly clear, more often than not, it's going to be glass. However, I would also just like to say that I kind of feel like dyed crystals are kind of fake too. I don't know how you guys feel about dyed crystals. I don't really work with them very often. But again, with the crystals being fake or not, usually if you can find rainbows in them, they're going to be real. If not, they're probably not. Like for the clear quartz and amethyst sometimes has rainbows. So does rose quartz, so does fluorite. You just kind of like got to study it and like feel it and like use your intuition as well to really be able to tell. It's a little more difficult online though.
Yeah. Yeah. Because how can you really know? I mean, they can show you a picture of what they're going to send you, and then you get something totally different.
But sometimes you don't even get what the picture you bought. So it's like,
exactly. Exactly. How do you feel the energies with stones and crystals? I have some, but when I hold them, I don't feel anything. So I'm kind of new to this whole thing. So what would you suggest this individual do?
One common way to, here, I'm going to grab this crystal again for example. One common way to really feel the energy of your crystal is to like take your hand and like make it really limp, and then like stick the crystal in your hand like this. Can you see? Probably not because the sun sucks. But you hold it really limp in your hand and close your eyes, and sometimes you'll feel a tingly sensation. Sometimes you'll feel like hot or cold, and sometimes you'll even feel like a pulse. And when I have crystals that I really connect with, I usually feel the pulse. And I honestly feel like that's my pulse through the crystal, but I don't get that reaction with every single crystal. So like the crystals that I do get like that pulsing sensation from are the ones that I connect with the most. This is one of them.
That's good. I mean, I would say the same thing. Feeling them, you can tell. I mean, it's almost a matter of practice. I mean, working with it over and over again. Onyx, tourmaline, and obsidian look similar when polished. Isn't one of those not even a stone? Or am I getting it confused with something else? There's a black stone that is really light when you, I don't remember which one it was.
Is it jet?
Oh, maybe it's jet. Yeah. That's black too, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I like jet.
All black crystals.
Huh?
I love all the black crystals.
You do? Yeah, I like jet. I have this little, I should have brought my little box over here, but I have this, it looks like it's a triangle.
Okay.
I really like it. It feels, I don't know. You know, it feels nice to me.
Magical.
Yeah. It feels nice. It feels nice. Oh gosh, they're all talking about crystals. Sounds like she means toxic as ingesting them somehow. Okay, so I guess the question is, when you're talking about toxic crystals, is it like, you know, ingesting it or inhaling it, or is there any crystal that maybe has toxic energies, in your opinion?
I wouldn't necessarily say toxic energies, but I'm gonna tell you guys right now that you shouldn't be eating crystals. Don't ingest them. But mostly inhaling and sometimes even prolonged contact with your skin can be like an irritant.
Yeah.
Some crystals can even be corrosive. I wish I could tell you names off the top of my head, but I am not a professional. And do not use them in gem elixirs. Do not use them in any sort of tea or potion that you would be ingesting, because like I said, don't eat crystals. Don't do it. Don't eat the particles. Don't do any of that. Selenite, even though it's not toxic, you're not going to want to put that in a crystal elixir because of how it grows. It's very shardy. And like if you were to drink that, you would drink the microscopic selenite shards, and that would really be bad. So just really be careful.
Okay, that makes sense. Someone is asking about, so the crystal on your third eye,
Yes.
did you mention that it was a toxic crystal?
This one is not a toxic crystal. This one is actually labradorite. When I meditated with my piece of azurite on my forehead, that's when I got the like vision to wear crystals like this. Azurite is toxic, yes, but you can hold it and handle it for however you want to do it. Make sure, like, if your hands are sweaty, just be careful to wash your hands after you're done. But like, if you handle malachite is another one. Malachite, azurite, hematite. If you handle them, you're gonna be okay. But like, don't breathe in their dust. Don't use them in elixirs. Don't. The list goes on.
Okay. I guess they were questioning. They thought that you had mentioned that the crystal that's on your third eye now was a toxic crystal, and there was concern that you were wearing it if it was a toxic crystal.
For sure. Thank you for your concern, but labradorite is not toxic.
Now, someone was asking about Ouija boards, but her question had nothing to do with crystals, but actually it inspired a question for me. Have you ever used crystals with Ouija boards in that combination? Because I haven't, and I was just thinking, that might be interesting.
I'll be honest with you. I've never actually used an Ouija board.
Oh, all right. Well, then I guess you can answer that question, right?
I really want to, though, but I'm not inclined to using one by myself. I would rather use one with another individual who isn't scared shitless about it, who is respectful of spirits, who knows who they want to talk to, and who has some sort of either experience or knowledge of how to protect themselves energetically or psychically. But when you're working with Ouija boards or anything from that nature, where you might require protection, just use crystals that are protective. So like smoky quartz or obsidian or black tourmaline or onyx or tiger's eye or anything like that.
Yeah, amethyst and citrine would be interesting too.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to consider that. And if you're ever in Massachusetts, come stop by and we can use the Ouija board and crystals together.
Sweet, I will be there. I'm really trying to get to Massachusetts. I want to get over to that side of the United States to explore. Like, it's on my bucket list to visit every state, but we'll see.
All right. Well, that's before, if I relocate. So I was saying before you signed in, if I relocate, I'll be on that end of the country. We'll be over at Washington State. So then you won't be able to, well, you could still, if we're near each other, we can still do Ouija boards and crystals together.
For sure, for sure.
My favorite crystal and stone crystal ball, amber. Amber, someone likes amber. Okay, so Heaven Starkey says, I'm a novice and I also tried to do the coven thing. Oh, this is covens. We're talking about crystals. Crystal skulls. Do you have any crystal skulls?
Do I have any crystal skulls?
Have you ever worked with a crystal skull?
I have. I want to say my boyfriend has one, but I don't know. I've never really like resonated with crystal skulls. I kind of just felt like they were cheesy and like, I mean, this is my opinion. If you like them, that's rad. But like for me, I just never really wanted to work with them, and like if I was going to work with a crystal skull, I would want to work with the OG crystal skulls that there's like 6 of them or something around the world, and they have like ancient knowledge inside. Other than that, I'm like not interested.
It's funny because whenever I think of working with crystal skulls, I mean, I always see the little ones, but hey, if I'm going to work with a crystal skull, it's going to have to be the size of a
Life
like
size.
skull. Yeah.
Yeah, life size.
Yeah, where you can look into its
No
eyes.
less.
Yeah, into its eye sockets, because that would be cool.
That'd be great.
What are good crystals for a person that has addiction problems, in your opinion?
Amethyst.
Amethyst.
They actually, ancient times, they used to drink out of amethyst chalices so they could control themselves once they were intoxicated. True story.
There you go. Rainbows are considered a spirit or a djinn are in them. Glass is often sold as crystal, so you should trust the retailer. Yeah, that's what we were talking about. Make sure you know who you're buying your crystals from.
Oh, absolutely. There's certain stores that I'm a repeat customer because I know what I'm getting is top quality.
Right. Online crystals are expensive. Oh, so tell us about crystal grids you've worked with. People want to know.
I really have this strange, like, thing that I like to do where I like to incorporate all my crystals into a crystal grid. Now that's quite a project, especially when you have hundreds and hundreds of crystals. But I like to use all of that to kind of work with each crystal and see how they connect with each other, how I connect with them, how they work together. But I love to create crystal grids for like sending love and light to the world because I feel like the world needs that. I like doing it for like happiness, cleanliness of space, and for protection as well. Those are like my top 3.
Yeah, when I have mine set up, they're usually for protection. I usually have one set up for sort of like boosting my psychic senses, and then one usually for healing. Those are the 3 grids I generally like rotate.
Healing would be good too.
Yeah. Is it okay to use any sort of crystals for a pendulum?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, absolutely.
What crystal pendulums do you have used most often?
I currently have a tiger's eye pendulum and an amethyst pendulum. However, the amethyst one broke because I think due to the negative energy from an ex-boyfriend. And then the tiger's eye one, I really don't resonate with anymore. I used to like really connect with it, but like honestly, I'm looking for a Nazarite pendulum and I just haven't been able to find one. And I really love using pendulums, but I'm so picky when it comes to them that I can like never find one that I work with. Yeah. So it's kind of like a frustrating situation.
Yeah, I use crystal, just the quartz crystal pendulums. I have 2. One that I use for Reiki healing, which has the chakras, little chakra crystals on it. And then the other one is just the quartz with nothing, just the chain. That's what I use.
I feel like I would work well with the clear quartz one.
Yeah, I love mine.
Pretty standard.
Yeah, that's me, standard crystal girl. Massachusetts, I actually live in a city called New Bedford. It's south of Boston towards Cape Cod. That's where I live. Someone asked where, because they live in Massachusetts too. So where is it?
Dude, the sun is going to eat me alive.
Can you trap spirits in crystals?
I don't know why you'd want to. I honestly have never tried. I have no idea.
Yeah. I don't.
I feel like spirits can be attached to crystals. I actually have this crystal that I found when I was in Washington. And it's actually a little rose quartz dragon. Oh my god, son, why? It's like a little rose quartz dragon. It's like really bad. But I found this crystal and like was, going about my day, went inside, bought 2 crystals, was walking away, and something called me to go back in there and grab this. And after working with it, I found that there's a fairy dragon attached to it. And so now I actively work with that fairy dragon in my practice. And so I think that's possible, but I don't know if you can trap spirits inside of them. I don't know
Yeah, I don't
about
know either, because everything, I mean, intuitively, I feel as if, because the crystals themselves are almost like sentient beings, I almost feel that way, that the crystal already has this sort of spiritual entity.
Mhm.
So I
No,
don't know. I mean, anytime I've created servitors or worked with my spiritual entities, familiars, I'm not even sure what to label them, and they need somewhere to be housed or sort of, yeah, to be housed, I normally don't put them in a crystal, and I wouldn't even consider it. So whether I actually have, other than saying that I feel like crystals are already sort of sentient beings, I wouldn't want to force another spiritual entity into that.
I agree.
You know, like it almost be like trying to kick out an essence that's already in it.
Hmm.
I don't know if that makes sense.
It's almost forcing it to possess the crystal.
Yeah, when there's already something in there. So
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just how I feel. Again, like I said, I don't usually work with crystals much, so I wouldn't even, I don't know. Have you ever used a crystal? Oh, we already talked about the pendulums, Ouija boards, jet. Oh my God, DragonFeather, I love her. Yeah, me too. Novices, what crystals do you recommend for novices? I think you kind of went over the list, but do it again, because apparently
Clear
this person.
quartz, always clear quartz. I think that should be your first crystal. Clear quartz, amethyst, rose quartz, citrine, pretty much any form of quartz is a great crystal to start with. Not toxic, can handle water, you're good.
Yeah. I wonder if they have any dragon statues made out of crystals. I think she
It
just
literally
showed
just
you the
showed
little
you.
one. Yeah. Which crystals are used good for using with a wand? Like if you're crafting a wand, what's a good crystal? I would say clear quartz, but again, that's my go-to.
I would say when I craft like wands, I usually always use clear quartz, like a sphere type crystal at the base. Just because I feel like clear quartz is a good generator of energy. It's like a good energy base. And especially at the end, it's like you putting your energy through that crystal, like transmutes it through the wand, if that makes sense. And for the tip, I would say depending on what you're going to use this wand for, maybe choose a crystal tip accordingly. So for example, if you were going to work with like solar magic, maybe add a citrine point to the tip. If you were going to work with lunar magic, maybe add moonstone or selenite to the tip. So it really just depends on what you're going to do, but also whatever crystal you resonate with, I think is always the best one to use as well, because the ones that you connect with better are going to work better for you.
I agree. I agree. Um, if my mother was sick internally, what crystal would you suggest to help heal her?
Amethyst and rose quartz.
Yeah, I would say it depends on what she's sick with.
Agreed. If you want
You
to get
know,
more specific crystals, I would say what condition, Google it, find something. But like all purpose, I would say amethyst because it like relaxes the user, and then rose quartz because it's very lovely, like loving energy. And sometimes we need that when we are having some issues.
what would you say about eating disorders? Crystals for that.
I would say amethyst. I feel like it when it comes to any sort of like either mental struggle like addiction, like amethyst is just that great stone to like not only keep you grounded while you're exploring maybe why you have these issues, like for example with addiction or with an eating disorder, maybe meditating with the crystal can help you identify where the root cause is of your particular issue. No substitute for a doctor, but it's definitely something that can help you cope. I'm gonna get swallowed this.
Enjoy working with the master crystal. Oh, the diamond. Have you worked with diamonds before?
Does Herkimer diamonds count?
Yeah, that's what they're talking about. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I have one. And I really like it. It's actually grown in a V, which is pretty cool. And I like working with that crystal whenever I do meditation. I work with all crystals during meditation, but like I feel like Herkimer Diamond is a good crystal to use for like all-purpose stuff. I feel like it's kind of like right there with clear quartz and like Lemurian quartz and stuff.
Yeah, I've never, again, I don't have a lot of crystals. I've never worked with any of those. So someone really likes you, but they think that I'm a dipshit. Yay.
Wow.
I know. Isn't that lovely? Thank you. What is your name? I don't even know how to say her name, or his name, but thank you for the compliment. Yeah. I found this piece of raw malachite online and I really want it, but I'm very worried about the toxic properties of the dust. So what steps would you recommend to prevent me from inhaling that dust?
I would say don't travel with it unless you have to. Fragile crystals like that, honestly, just don't travel well. I only take my azurite with me unless I absolutely need to. I would say keeping it in a place that's out of reach of children or pets if you have any, because if they knock it over, it kicks things in the air. I also recommend keeping it away from sunlight and keeping it away from any sort of elemental like rain or anything like that. I know that's kind of ridiculous, but like don't keep it in the bathroom is what I'm trying to say. And just make sure that whenever you're working with a crystal like that, especially if it's like the fibrous malachite, because when it's fibrous, it's easier to like kick it up into the air. But the thing is like when you're working with malachite, you can handle it and be okay, but just make sure to wash your hands afterwards and just be conscious of what you're doing when you're moving it and like where everything else is when you're placing it down. Just be focused on like keeping the crystal safe and sound when you're working with it, because like you don't want to accidentally drop it or anything like that.
Okay. Dirty Dean suggests that you can trap spirits in a crystal, but it's dangerous.
I would say that
I
probably
guess,
so.
yeah. Housing and jail are two different things. I agree. Yeah, I wouldn't trap something. I don't know, but whatever. That's like another story. All right. Well, there's still like a whole bunch of different questions in here. Let's see. Bloodstone is helpful for blood conditions. Yeah, I agree. Charge crystals. Okay, other ideas of charging crystals. I know you talked about moonlight and smoke, or was smoke just clearing your crystals?
More so for cleansing. I actually like charging my crystals in fire. I know that might sound crazy, but like I don't like stick them in the fire. Oh my goodness. But like I like holding them above candle flames to charge them. Be careful when you do that, but it really works because it actually heats the crystal and I feel like that genuinely charges it. So if you like light a candle with the intention of like charging your crystal for a particular intent and then holding your crystal above it and like rotating it while it like is absorbing the heat from the flame is another really fun way to charge crystals.
Yeah, I do. I do moonlight and sunlight sometimes, depending. But again, you know, I'm not a big crystal person. I don't have a lot of different ones. I usually work with quartz is my biggest one.
For sure.
Well, thank you. Someone said I was sexy. That makes me feel better than being called a dipshit. So thank you. What's the best way to project energy using crystals? What's the best way to protect energy using crystals?
Protect or project?
Project. Oh, did I say protect? I'm sorry. Project. Project. Yeah.
I would say projection is going to work best with wands, like crystal wands or crystal points. So like maybe a templed piece of clear quartz wouldn't be the best. But when it comes to energy, like projection, I would say clear quartz is probably going to be your best bet. And I've just had the best like results when using clear quartz. Like I prefer to cast my circles with clear quartz rather than any other crystal for that reason alone.
Okay. I'm sorry if I'm skipping questions. This chat is moving so fast and I'm trying to, oh, here we go.
Oh, no, I'm gonna have
Oh,
to.
okay. Is it considered inappropriate to put, if you inhale them, physically toxic crystals on your third eye? I did misinterpret what you said. Did you get that question?
I'm not sure I did.
Okay. Is it considered inappropriate to put, if you inhale them, physically toxic crystals on your third eye?
I would say, like, if you inhale the crystal while it's on your third eye?
Is it considered inappropriate to put, if you inhale them, physically toxic crystals on your third eye? That's word for word what it says.
I'm not sure. I guess I think if I'm understanding correctly, I'm gonna say no unless it.
Okay. I understand that they will not harm you, but is it something wrong to you?
Not at all. I work with toxic crystals all the time.
Somehow wrong to you. Yeah.
Oh my God, I don't have
Yeah, and
enough.
I think you did say you worked with toxic crystals anyways.
Yeah, I work with azurite on my third eye all the time. It resonates most with the third eye chakra, so that's where I feel it works best. But it's not like wrong to use it. I think I'm gonna have to move this. It's eating me alive. Here we are.
Oh, I know there's an 8-second lag. It's just there's a lot of questions. And I'm only going to keep going for 10 minutes to make up for the technical difficulties at the beginning, because my family is going to be coming home. And as I said, they get really loud. So I try to start my live stream and end the show before they come home. So
For sure.
yeah. Sleeping with crystals under your pillow. What was your experience if you ever did that?
I actually sleep with crystals all the time. Like, mostly amethyst is the only crystal I like sleeping with, just because if you have, like, other crystals, like especially clear quartz or any of the aura crystals in your space while sleeping, they more often than not will keep you awake, actually. So I find that the ones to use the best when, like, sleeping is amethyst is the top one, and then rose quartz is, like, my only other one that I'm, like, minorly comfortable with.
Yeah, and I can vouch for the quartz keeping you awake at night, because that big quartz cluster that I mentioned used to be in our bedroom, and I couldn't. And I'm someone who falls asleep rather quickly and easily, but this crystal would not let me sleep. And I've tried citrine, and when I'm ill, and I know citrine isn't normally a healing stone, but if I'm ill or feeling under the weather physically and I sleep with citrine in my pillow, something about it, I'd have to do more research, but something about it allows me to sleep and actually aids with my own body's healing. So I don't know what it is about citrine with me, but I find that citrine, I sleep with it in my pillowcase when I'm feeling ill. So
It's crazy that you mentioned that because as soon as you said that, I remembered that one time I actually did sleep with citrine because I felt like crap. And I like would not let it go. Like it was in my hand and I'm like, no, I can't put this crystal down. I feel like shit. So I think that's a good crystal as well.
yeah, I don't know what it is. I don't think it's normally considered a healing crystal either. I think people generally use it for psychic enhancement or something. But for me, and even my daughter, she has a specific, we have a couple of like raw chunks of it. And there's one specifically that she calls it her healing stone.
Oh, nice.
It's not the one that I use, but it's the one that it's like she claims it. So I don't know. I'd have to look a little more into what citrine actually does or is traditionally used for. But clusters or generators. Any crystals helpful for studying and focusing?
Notes.
Studying and focusing. Well,
I would say
quartz.
actually quartz. I would say
I just quartz. Clear
you can
quartz. Yeah,
you can
that's for
program
that. That's for
quartz
that.
to do
That's for that.
anything.
Yeah, I know. That's like why yeah.
I would say citrine's good for confidence too. Like,
Oh yeah,
the
but
reason why
I've
I
used
fail test is because I'm not confident.
well, I've used Tiger's Eye for courage
Oh
and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know.
It's probably a good one too.
Yeah, and you just reminded me that when my husband and I were hand fasted, you know how everybody gives out little wedding favors.
Okay.
I hate those tchotchke things. But what we did was we got little black pouches and we got little tumble stones, and I think we put
Oh, I love
a
that.
hematite, a rose quartz, a tiger's eye, and an amethyst in each little bag with a little tag saying what each one was for.
Oh,
And
that's so
I can't remember why we chose those ones though, but we had specific reasons for choosing each of them.
I love that. That's so awesome.
Yeah, a lot of people that came to our hand fasting were unfamiliar with what a hand fasting was to begin with, and then secondly, they were like, "Why is she giving us a bag of stones?" And I mentioned that only because today's my anniversary. But
Yeah,
anyway,
anniversary.
yeah, thank you. Yay, we've been together 9 years, married, hand fasted 9 years, together 12 years. But yeah. So yeah, it's 9:10. We're about ready to wrap it up. Citrine cleanses. Oh, maybe that's why. Maybe that's why you and I use it for healing.
That would make sense.
What you said about how fast the chat is moving reminds me of how fast the mail sorting machine goes sometimes during my job as a mail handler. Oh, yeah. Well, thank you for sharing with that. Oh, lapis lazuli. I like lapis lazuli.
I love lapis lazuli.
Yeah, me too.
It's a great crystal to work with for any Egyptian deity.
It's a beautiful stone too.
Oh my gosh, breathtaking.
Is there anything else you wanted to say about Crystal Magick before we wrap up?
I would say that crystals are probably one of the best tools to charge your items and herbs and anything else. Like, for example, if you have a jar of herbs that you work with, sticking in a few crystals in the jar to help charge them with your intention works beautifully. And I would just say, like, even if you're new to the craft, and even maybe if like you're just don't connect well with crystals, I think it's good to have at least one as a practitioner, just to have. And I feel like if you're new and you don't know what exactly you're getting yourself into, just try and find a nice piece of clear quartz to rock out with for a while, pun intended. And just, yeah, I think clear quartz is good for any beginner. You can program to do anything you want, so it's all-purpose stone, and there you go.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Thank you, Ariel. I mean, you know, this is my third marriage, so this is the keeper after 2 divorces. Anniversary of 9 years is a wonderful thing, let me tell you. Yeah, clear quartz. That's what I would say too.
And
Yeah.
it's like probably the most common crystal on Earth, I think.
Is it? Well, yeah. And then I like the point that you said that, you know, it's found in a lot of our technologies. So obviously there is scientifically something about quartz crystal. I mean, you can't really deny it, you know? Well, I guess you could. I guess you could. You can deny anything you want, but obviously there's something to them.
Oh man, that sun was brutal for a while.
Yeah. All right, so everybody, we're going to end here. It's been an hour. Even with technical difficulties, it's been longer than an hour. So thank you for hanging in there if you were here at the very beginning when we had some issues. And just a reminder, next week, May 25th, Dirty Dean is going to be here with me, and we're going to talk about what witches are and what they are not. And on June 1st, I have an episode with Martha Dunlop, and we're going to be talking about the ascension, or what is ascension, and that whole topic. And that will be a pre-recorded episode, but it will air at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I want to give a big thank you to my official sponsor of the Sacred Circle, Karen Gerlinger. Thank you for your continued support. If you'd like to support Lunar Wisdom and get exclusive access to the Quest Within video series, there's a new episode every week. We're on episode 10 this week. It's where myself and Alex discuss spiritual topics We have, like I said, 12 episodes already. If you pledge at least $1 a month through Patreon, you will have access to that video series. There are other opportunities to pledge more and get more benefits if you want, but just $1 a month gains you exclusive access. Links to the Patreon is in the information section of this video. And until next week, I love you. Thank you for supporting and thank you for watching. Bye-bye. Thank you, DragonFeather.
Thanks for having me.